Happy Wednesday. Technically, about a midweek reversal day, but will that be today? We don't know. How's everybody feeling today? Did we all make it through the night's dramatic price action? Be sure to jump in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling. Did you happen to catch a short, or are you sitting out waiting for something else? Let me know how you guys are doing. Welcome to everybody who is here for the first time, and welcome back to everybody else who is returning. Good to see so many familiar faces in the audience. Alicia, Eric, Ian, Romit, Paul, John. Welcome. Hello to all of you. I don't know how long this session is going to go for because, I can go on a tangent, but I also don't see today as a particularly wild trading day. So we'll get into it anyway and see where we end up. How about that? Love fly by the seat of your pants market updates. How about that? That is absolutely 100% my style. Now, before we get into it, be sure to smash up that like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Doing those things nice and early really does help me get these videos around the internet, helps me to grow this audience so that we can protect more people from the FOMO and the FUD and everything else that is out there. How you doing, Zachary, John, Janet? Okay, so number one, I'm going to take a big picture view of what is kind of going on, and we're going to, make our way down. But I do want to spend a little bit more time today just talking about macros, considering that we have broken a very key level. Currently, at this point in time, we've whipped back into it, but we'll get into that. And so I think it's important that we look a bit bigger rather than just trying to find day trades for the day, but of course we'll get into that as well. So I just want to point out this chart here that this channel here has been watching and patiently waiting for a really long time. So if you have been watching us for a while, you will know that we had identified this M formation here that was the peak of the bull market into a level 1 drop, a retrace, a level 2 drop, and this was the current board meeting, the weekly board meeting. So technically, we are expecting one more drop if the model is going to play out on the weekly time frame. Now, just to be clear, the higher the time frame you go, the harder it is for the model to always play out to full completion. So just keep that in mind. But at this point in time, it is following, and we do have what we usually identify in this model. So what I kind of want to say about this right here is I just want to zoom into where price is currently. And you can see here that we had this weekly vector right here, which price has wicked into twice, well, a number of times now, but decently wicked into twice, still have not closed below it. So the bottom of that candle sits at around 15,867. So just keep that kind of number in mind. If we do break below that, we do have other vectors below. So, but at this point in time, the fact that we've wicked into it and not fully closed below it, it does mean that you have to look both ways on a smaller time frame. So you have to look for more structure to follow this that will lead you to believe it's going to then break out to the upside or the downside. You have to be open to both. And that comes from simply seeing if we actually come back to recover this full week, which I'll show you when we go down to smaller time frames. However, I did want to show you another thing. So last night we came down, let me just go to a smaller time frame so we can see the exact number. Here we go. So we wicked down here at 16,820. And I just want to show you this tweet here that I actually posted on the 22nd of September talking about liquidity and how market, it's quite a long thread, but it's was basically going on about how market sentiment isn't what moves the markets. It's the market makers play on that, and they induce that sentiment in us by getting us to think something's going to happen, getting us to be emotional. But at the end of the day, they can only move price to where liquidity is. And back then on the 22nd of September, you can see here that I wrote this would make the target somewhere between 16,880 to 17,580. That's where there was a super high level of liquidity that has stayed this whole time. And then, it's basically saying it's not people that does this, it's AI, but liquidity just predicts where it could go to. So 16,880 was kind of the target that I was kind of warning about. And we went to 16,820. So I was $60 off, which I think is pretty bang on. So the moral of the story is if that doesn't deserve a like and a subscribe, then I don't know what will. But when we're talking macro, things take a long time. So as you know, it's now the 9th of November. So it took a long time for us to get into that 16K, but we've seen it for a really long time, right? Doesn't mean there hasn't been a million day trades in between to the upside and the downside. But when we're talking macro, the moral of the story is that we've always been waiting for a level 3 drop on the weekly. Now, what was the other thing I was going to say about the weekly? I will come back to it because I think we're going to go and talk more about, because this is a crypto specific event. Sorry for my thoughts that just jumped around in my head just then, but this is a crypto specific event. So when we have a look at the markets in general, you can see here that S&P is up, NASDAQ is up, Dixie's down. So therefore, why is Bitcoin down? It's down because it's a crypto specific event. So everybody knows about the billionaire bitch fight going on right now between CZ and Sam Bankman-Fried. And that's why. So it's at some point, though, this is going to catch up. And I did have a question in the Discord earlier today of like when is a good time to actually start making a decision in the markets again. The good time is going to be when there's a solution to the problem. So there has to be some sort of news that comes out that allows retail to feel like, oh, okay, this might be over soon. It's exactly the same with Luna. With Luna, when it was dropping so much, people were trying to pick the bottoms by basically buying every week on a smaller time frame, right? And so, but here's how liquidity works. Let me just show you. How can I show you? I'll try and show you from here. So let's just say in the heat maps, you have a large level of buys. So let's just say price is dropping down. You have a large level of buys. Let's just use this one here as an example. So we've got 1.2K wanting to buy at 18,200, right? That's not that big, but that's the biggest we've got to deal with. So what's naturally going to happen is as price moves down into that area, those orders are going to get filled, and that causes a little move to the upside. On the chart, that looks like a candle with a wick, right? So if you were to just buy off that, the move hasn't been proven yet because all it's done is just picked up these orders, but you don't know the market shorts on the other side because heat maps only show you limit orders, right? I mean, you can see the market shorts in the filled orders, but they're already filled at that time. And you can see what is sitting in the actual order book on buys and sells. But in this particular section right here, you're only seeing limit sells above price and limit buys below. So even though you see a large order of limit buys, you don't know if that's going to be met with bigger sells as well. So therefore, when price comes in and picks up that, there is going to be a temporary little bounce out of that area, which looks like a wick on a normal chart. So the point being that if you were to just buy that believing, oh, I've picked the bottom, and you just buy that before the move is actually proven, well, that might not be enough buy orders to actually shift out of the range. So really you're just guessing, and that's when you become a bottom picker. So you don't want to do that. You want to wait and make sure that those orders that got picked up are actually now taking over as the stronger side, as in the sellers are now exhausted and the buyers are happy to kick in at this level. And that's when you start to see a potential trend shift. So where was I now? So the point being that even though you can see a wick down here, and let me just go down to the 1 hour time frame. So even though we see this big wick here, the reason that we have that big wick is because price spiked into a high level of limit orders that were already waiting there. But what you don't know at this point in time is, were all of those limit orders picked up? Usually when the wick is that big, there were orders left behind. And so what bottom picker is ill. I actually really hate that term. You're right, Mark. But yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, I lost my train of thought, Mark. I was saying that when the wick is that large, there is usually orders left behind. And so that's when you wait to see if the market maker comes back to collect the rest. Now, they don't have to come all the way back to the bottom of a wick. Usually they just come back to the candle close, but it depends where the candle close is. And obviously this candle close is sitting at around 18,200. So then we want to see, can we see buy orders, significant buy orders in trading light, to give us an idea if the market maker does bring price back, where are they now looking? Because that's going to give us a hint of whether they're going to try to shift out eventually. It might not be today, or is there more downside coming? Now, the order book to me is very thin, so I don't think that we can rely on these numbers right now. If you can see here, I have tried to make it fairly large for you, but the highest level of buys that we have is sitting around 1.3K, and the highest level of shorts is 1.4K. Either side does not have a lot of commitment. So if you do have heat map software, you want to be watching to see if we can get some really significant kind of orders come in, whether they're shorts or longs. That's going to give you a hint of whether there's more downside to come or not. And if you don't have heat map software, then consider joining the Discord, because our tribe happily shares this information with everyone all day, every day. So plus you get to actually learn the method. So there is a link in the description of this video if you do want to consider that. And so anyway, point being that if the highest we've got right now is this 1.3, and what number did I just say to you made sense because it was the candle close? 18.2. Yeah, it's at 18.2. So that kind of goes to show 18.2. So let me just move this here, 18,200. So that goes to show, now if we really look in on this level here, it's probably going to be a 15-minute time frame situation, but right now I'm on the 1 hour, but it doesn't matter. It's if we're going to shift out eventually, then what you would want to see is price not break below that 18,200, because that means it's leaving this behind on purpose. So remember how I said to you there are orders down here, and it's likely they'll come back to pick them up at the same time, because remember, for every buy there's a sell, for every sell there's a buy. At the same time, people shorted down here, like they actually triggered a short down here, they had to have. So the market maker might want to leave those shorts trapped. And that's why you have to be open to both sides right now and not just assume that we're going to continue further down. It's in fact likely that we'll probably have some sort of an attempted recovery, even if it's just coming back to rebalance these vectors right here. It might just be a very small move to the 50 EMA or the 200, and then we get more downside. That's an absolute possibility. But at some point in time, they are going to come back to recover because the move was too fast. So they are going to come back to recover that. And what you need, you can be part of that as a day trade. And the way you're going to do that is to watch that 800 18,200 level and see if it does shift out and move to the upside. The other thing too that it can do in order to come back and pick up that is it can go the absolute opposite way, where from here you don't get the W. It just goes straight up to the 50 EMA, then it comes down, and it might come down just to 18,200 at that point. Again, you know, that's what then forms like a H pattern as a H pattern as opposed to a W pattern. So yeah, keep an eye out for both. To me, I think that this needs to settle for a day. I honestly don't think today is the day to be looking for an entry on anything. But I do think that, you know, depending on, obviously we've got midterms, right? Anything can happen. Like this could move down even further. And I'm going to show you some levels as well in a second that we could head down to. So I would not be trying to pick it today. Just wait for some certainty to kind of come in, these midterms to be over, etc. Then, you know, reassess where we are. But this 100% needs to settle. So when I'm talking about, you know, potentially leaving these people trapped or not, the same rule applies if the market maker decides to take another leg down as a result of midterms, right? So I wouldn't try to be part of it. I would wait for it to be over and then follow the same process, have a look, is there a big wick like this? Are they leaving them trapped? Or are they coming back to collect orders that were left there, and then make your decision from there? So on that note, I wanted to talk about the liquidity now. Now, this was something I actually posted about this on Twitter. No, I didn't post it on Twitter, sorry, on TikTok yesterday. And we discussed it in the Discord on our live session yesterday, right before this drop. So it was kind of magical timing because it was very... what is the word? It just kind of happened from a question. But we talked about this. Now, I haven't refreshed this yet because I want to refresh it with you guys and see if anything has changed. So this data that we're looking at right now is from before we had this move down. And what I was talking to the community about was that we had these three major levels of liquidity below price that at some point in time, the market maker is going to come and collect. And the question came around the fact that at the time, let's just go to the 4 hour. At the time, Bitcoin was not breaking this 18,450 level, like other than wicks. It was not closing below 18,450. So the question was, what is the market maker up to? Like, why do they keep bringing it down there? And the answer was because they're trying to get commitment. And what was happening was that they weren't getting the commitment at 18,450. And we know that because every time price pushed out of it, it created a lower high. So it was inevitable at that point in time that price was going to break down further, because if the market maker can't get the buyers that they want to commit at 18,450, the market maker has to go hunting at a lower level to try and find them there. So that was a little bit of a hint of what had happened today. And we talked about the levels below price, which was 17,600 was the largest level at the time that we had to keep note of. And then the next one here was at 16,400, which I think we were just a couple of $100 off that one. And then the next one is at 15,600. Now, what I said as well from them is that if price did come down into these zones, we would then need to reassess this liquidity and see if new positions have opened up already that give us new targets potentially lower to look at. So I'm going to refresh this now so that we can do exactly that together. Who ain't smashing that like? I know, I agree. So let's just zoom into this. It does look like it's still the same to me, but let's look in. So this was the bit that would have just got spiked now at, yes, 17.6. The 16.4 is still there, but this one here that got spiked, 16.8, that's where we went. And that was still significantly high because that's in this light green area, right? So that one's been taken, but so far 16.4 and 15.6 is still the level. So what I would be careful of now, if this is going to turn out to be a weekly time frame level 3 drop, then this move to the downside won't be over yet, right? But caution, when we're talking about the weekly time frame, we can have many days of moving up, right? So, I mean, this is weeks, but we can have many days, weeks, whatever, of moving up and still be bearish. So there is a possibility that we will move up after midterms, for the next potential week, 2 weeks, maybe, just depending on what comes out of it. But if it can't move up and actually change structure, as in start to create higher highs on the weekly time frame, then any move up is still the market maker selling to you and offloading because lower prices are coming. So I'm talking super long term now, but we do know that liquidity is still there. And if we go into this, the bottom of this candle that I pointed out, that the bottom of that is at 15,900, which is very, very close to this level here that I talked about. So, as far as day trading, there's going to be a million trades in between, and that's irrelevant. Really talking macro here and saying that, I still believe this is a good time to DCA for the long term if you have a well thought out plan and you are only committing a little bit of capital at a time. But it's possible that, you could DCA all the way back down to 15 if we actually get there. So, and the other thing too is that this move down on the weekly at this point in time, even though it's still 5 days to go, it's not a vector candle yet. So, is it going to turn into one? That's kind of what we need to wait and see. So let's have a look at the daily time frame. So the daily time frame was a vector. But again, see, it only spiked down and it's closed back above the recent support. So that's what's leading to me to believe that maybe not today, but potentially tomorrow, there may be a little bit of a recovery just to rebalance this area, but I'd still be watching the 50% line of this candle as well as the 100% line and be prepared to bag flip short if you happen to see on a lower time frame any rejection there. Do we know a rough time for midterms? The voting has already started, but I believe we should be getting some sort of information around now, if I'm correct. I'm not 100%. But yeah, anyway, we'll see it in the charts regardless. But that's what I would look out for. If you are day trading, just always be zooming out to the higher time frame, because now we have this big imbalance here and it becomes very easy. The 50% line, let's actually just mark it out together. So at this point in time, because that daily candle has finished, we can measure it. So the 50%, oh, isn't that interesting? The Binance shorts this morning was sitting at 18,800. Let's check if they're still there. And that is the 15% line as well. Let's check now if they're still there at 18,800. 1.3K. So it's not significant, but it's the most significant sells. If you can have a look here, the most significant sells are at 18.8, which is the halfway point of that new daily vector. So that's the area to watch. If we, as you know, they're limit orders, so they can move. But if we can't break above that, we're probably going down more. And that might just be the H, right? So it doesn't matter. Again, I still think today's a no trade day and reassess tomorrow. The longs are still fairly insignificant, and they're at 18.2, which is still the same. So that's our range today, between 18,200 and 18,800. We want to see if one of those levels breaks or holds, and if we break 18.2, we're probably going down further, but we may come up before we break it down. Now let me see. Let me have a look at some of these questions. Annie, are you focused on weekly vectors at this point? Yes. Whenever we have a big dramatic move, I'm always zooming out to that weekly vector, and that's because um, I'm waiting for that level 3, right? That I've been waiting for months. So yes, I always do go out to look at it, but that is just for more so for investing, and also just to get a bigger picture of where the bottom might be, because I believe we're close. So I need to keep an eye on the weekly for that. But for day trading, it won't be, I'll be looking for smaller time frame vectors within that weekly one. What about monthly? No, I don't really worry too much about monthly. What is there anything else? Results are coming in. Only 3 confirmed at this point. The other ones haven't changed. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, so would you consider Batman on the 15 minutes? Yes, I did have a look at that earlier, and it was shaping up to be that way. So let's have a look at that. Sorry, this is 1 hour. So who said that? Josh. Good pick up there, Josh. There is a potential for this to be a Batman trade situation, and it is going to be dependent. We want to have a little bit more of consolidation than what we have now. Sorry, a half Batman. It's going to be dependent on holding that 18.2 to 18.8 range and proving that to be, the initial high and low of today, basically no higher and lower than that. Just a very, very brief explanation. A half Batman is when you get half the ear and then it just goes straight. But out of that, it just shoots out eventually. So you kind of have to know how to trade it in order to get that trade. But very good pickup, and definitely keep an eye on that. If you do want to trade the smaller time frames, that is one to be looking out for. But in addition to that, this also could be a H pattern. So you definitely need to wait for that final sign, which the Wix is going to tell you which way it wants to go. Thank you for the super chat. That is so nice of you. I appreciate that. I would like you to analyze the Dodo USD T chart and give an opinion of how far it can go. Do you think decentralized exchange could be the future? I do love decentralized exchanges, and I will happily look at Dodo for you. Yes, I do, but it all depends on what gets passed and what not, and as far as regulation. So it's a bit tricky right now because we don't really know, but we'll take a very quick look at this. So this is interesting. The ETH has done this exact same thing, which I'll show you ETH in a second. This vector right here, it's come right back into it. So that is the area to watch. If we attempt back into this area and it doesn't close more than 50% of this candle, start looking for smaller time frame candlestick confirmation that it's going to move out to the upside. That would be a good area to buy, but don't do it now. Wait to see if it revisits that area. The other thing too is, if you want to hold this long term, it's not a problem, but what a highly volatile coin this is. Look at these massive wicks. So it goes to show that there is a lot of struggle to try and break above this area on this coin, which is 0.185. If it can get through there, then you've got some big vectors to recover. But if you're willing to sit through that volatility, if you believe in this long term, it's not going to be a bad idea if it holds above this zone right here and doesn't break any lower, because you actually do have a pretty good W here as long as it holds. So again, it's going to be dependent on the whole market not crashing any further. But yeah, that's what I would keep an eye on. So let me have a quick look at, on that note, on ETH to show you guys how it's fairly similar to that coin just there. Being that, do I need a smaller time frame? I think I do. Where was it now? Here, this one right here. I'll get rid of this so you can see it. So 4-hour time frame vector right here is where ETH spiked back into, and then the second candle as well stayed above. So same thing, we want to see, have they trapped these traders in these wicks here? And as a result, if the goal was to trap them, they won't come back into the zone. But if there's still pending orders there that they want to pick up, they will come back into the zone. So that zone for ETH is at 1180 to 1280, $100 range. Definitely keep an eye on that. Is a half Batman more of a Robin? No, it's Batman's half ear. Now, was there anything else I wanted to show you? I think your CME was interesting. Where CME spiked into was an area of interest that I didn't bother talking about yesterday, and I probably should have, because then I would have sounded like a genius today. But I just marked this out by chance yesterday before our Zoom and before our session, whatever this is. And yeah, just interesting. So it's come back to this. This was the last red vector that I could find on the CME between 16.5 to 18,000. Again, that 16.5 kind of lines up with this this area down here. So yeah, just, again, could be a couple of weeks away, but I personally don't think that was the bottom, is my feeling, but I'm good with dollar cost averaging in at these levels. Was there anything else? Yes, there was more things. Now, let's talk about this Bitcoin balance on exchange, because there's been a lot of controversy about this, showing that FTX had sold a lot of Bitcoin. Now, it was true that yesterday FTX was showing 0.9 BTC on here, and it has now moved up to 36 Bitcoin. But what I wanted to show you, you may remember this chart. I'm not sure if we talked about it last week or the week before, but I did point out that a lot of that the balance on exchanges was really, really low. And this was at the time when everyone was talking about a breakout to the upside, which I also thought was a possibility before more downside, just to be fully transparent. And the fact that all of this was really, really low goes to show that there was something going on there, because now look how much has shifted back on. So obviously the green is the balance and the yellow is the Bitcoin price. So look at how much was, I zoomed in too much. Damn. Wait, how do I get back out there? It's too sensitive. It's too sensitive. There we go. Look how much was shifted back on right before the big dump. These nasty people, man. But anyway, there we go. That's the situation there. It was what we thought was looking good for a breakout to the upside goes to show that, they had this planned from well before last night's dump. Now, the final thing that I want to tell you is the CPI. Is that what's coming out? It is 12:30 a.m. Melbourne time, Friday. Is the next kind of news event after today's, which is obviously today's is much more important. I'm kind of feeling on the edge of this being a non-event, to be honest with you. We'll see when we get there. We don't know, but I think the major event is this, and there's only so much pain that markets can take. Do you know what I mean? So if the big move has already come in, it's there's probably not going to have not one cough today. Don't jinx me, Ryan. Watch it will come out now. I'm not sure about this one. We'll reassess tomorrow after the midterms are over and kind of see if we can, somehow guess what might happen. But I actually think that we're going to see some relief soon. Not today, but after today, after the midterms are done, there's going to be some temporary relief, simply because there's so much liquidity here for the market maker to come for. And also, it's just interesting to point out the lowest level down here now is 16,200. So could go up to just give a little bit of relief, then have another leg down. And if we do, we now know that liquidity is there, because we do have 11 billion delta to the shorts now. 20 billion delta to the shorts. So as you know, as soon as we get around 20 billion, we start to look for a potential change in trend, at least short term. This is for day trading, obviously. So we need to keep our eyes out for W formations on lower time frames. But again, just be sure and don't jump ahead, and don't assume that because we've gone down, we're going up. There could be more, simply because it's a dramatic news event day. Now, was there anything else? Forest Factory. That's it. Final thing is that our NFT thing is now live. So if you are interested in getting one of the free NFTs for the World Cup team that are being given to us by OKX, be sure to jump in our Discord. If you're not sure, because everybody asks me all the time, how do you get in there? At the bottom of any of my videos down here, it says free welcome section. That's all you need to join in order to be able to be part of the OKX giveaway. So in addition to that, however, you need to have used our link to join. So if you also come down here, you can see here it says join OKX to get 15% off fees here. So that's the link you need to use if you haven't already joined OKX. Grab that, join up, then come into our Discord. And once you've verified that you're human, just come here, competition, win World Cup NFT, and you can apply. You can apply there to get one of those. And the winners will be announced in about a week's time in our announcement channel. And I think that's all. Did I see someone say, please have a look at Solana? Can Solana? Yeah, okay, I did see that. So let's do that quickly before I leave you for the day. What am I doing here? Not that. I'm doing this. So let's look at Sol USDT. Here. All right, so let's get a big view of where it is. Okay, so we've broken, just doesn't look good, does it? We've broken some key levels here. How far back are we going now to find a okay, so we do have wicks into this zone here from prior, which is basically where we are now. We don't have any vectors below, we don't have any vectors below these wicks, which is a worry because it means that the next one, if we're talking daily time frame, the next one is down here, and that's between $9 and $14.50. But let's see if we can find some on a lower time frame because that is fairly far from price. I think Solana is just having the reaction because of the FTX thing, but I feel like it will recover over the next few days probably, and then if you want to offload, that would be the time to offload. Nothing really significant. Nothing significant on the 4 hour. 12 hours the same as the daily. And then are we getting too far? In the 1 hour, let's just see. I'm just going to go back forever. No, too far back in time. So that's the one to deal with in my opinion. Providing we break this initial one here. Oh my God, what am I doing? Let me just go back here to see where did we draw that. Okay, so a retest of this level here, which is at 17.7, which was the high before it broke out. If it can't hold that, then potentially into this $9 25.14 50 zone. However, where it is right now is in the same wick zone it's been in before. So just wait for that new structure. You're following the exact same process now. You're going to wait because it's wicked in there. You're going to wait, see if you get a H. If the H breaks below the wick, then you worry about these targets. But if it doesn't, then you're looking for W formations for it to move out to the upside to just at the very least do a recovery of this. And then if you're in Solana and you don't want to be in it anymore, the time to sell will be when it does start to recover some of these vectors right here, right? Don't panic sell out of it now if you don't want it because it's too late. Thanks, Annie. That daily area of interest for Sol is a bit concerning for my spot. I know. But look, like I said, there's conditions first. So it may not get there. It's kind of a, kind of worst case scenario. XRP. Yeah, I'll do XRP. That'll be my last one because I do have an appointment after this. But I'll do that one quickly. Okay, so you can tell I haven't looked at this for a really long time. Geez, that was a pretty dramatic, wow, back down into the 30s. So the June low is at 28 cents for XRP. And where did we come back to? We've come back to this area here. That's a very large wick. I would expect XRP to revisit the area. It's very, very large. There would have been a lot left behind there. So yeah, I'd be careful of this one, especially it's under all the EMAs, including the 800. It may give you a H pattern, over the next, who knows, couple of weeks, because I am on a higher time frame. Yeah, but until it gets back above EMAs, I wouldn't feel too confident in this. But again, it may get lucky based off if Bitcoin decides to do a bit of a recovery. Is it possible for BTC to just drop to 15.9? Anything's possible. Anything is possible, of course. Yeah, it could. It really depends, especially on a news event day. You really can't assume. That's why I'm saying don't trade today. Just wait for it to be over. But watch charts and learn the behavior. But wait for this to be over and then get yourself a good position once it's all done and dusted. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you there. Be sure to smash that like button if you didn't already. Hit subscribe as well if you haven't already, if you enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining me today. I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully there'll be something more to actually trade. And don't forget to grab the OKX link and come join us in Discord if you want to be part of those free NFTs. And even if not, just to have a conversation. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have an amazing day.